Hi, Mark. Late at night, you're just back from the embassy, yeah?
Yes, just gone at 9 o'clock here in Washington, and the Eagle has landed. There is a deep sense of anticipation at the British Embassy here in Washington, where Keir Starmer rolled in about half an hour ago.
Was he in good form?
Yeah, actually, a very, very, very good joke at the very beginning. He said, "I've only just arrived. I can feel there's a buzz around Washington right now. You can sense that there's a new leader in town," so said Keir Starmer. He's a true one-off, a pioneer in business and politics. Some people love him, others love to hate him. And I thought, uh-oh. And then he said, but to us, he's just Peter Mandelson.
Oh, no. Thud. The ambassador, of course, the new guy. I'm James Matthews.
And I'm Mark Stone.
You're listening to episode 39 of Trump 100.
President Trump held his first cabinet meeting of his second term, and it was quite the spectacle. We'll dive into it.
Plus, Donald Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sitting topless on a sun lounger together in Gaza. Yes, you heard that correctly. Has AI taken it all too far?
Or has Donald Trump taken it too far? That's the question.
Mark, we had the first cabinet meeting of Trump's second term yesterday, all 90 minutes of it, a football match worth. You were there. Tell us about it.
Well, I wasn't in the room, and that's something we'll talk about because only a select group of journalists got to go into the cabinet room itself inside the White House. But it was, as you might imagine, a big, big table. All the cabinet secretaries sitting around that table, and then beyond them, on the edge, some sitting, some standing. The rest of the staff from the White House, from Trump's second term, it felt different from cabinet meetings that we have seen before. Joe Biden held them pretty regularly. There was something different about this one. We mentioned yesterday that Elon Musk would be there, and of course he was, but he's not an elected official. He is the richest man in the world. He was in the corner. The script, James, didn't need to be written because he was quite literally the shadow standing in the corner, dark clothes, black MAGA baseball cap on. And if you wanted a clue of who holds the power in the new Trump White House, well, then you only have to listen to who did all the talking. After Trump, guess who it was? Elon Musk.
But if we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done.
Hey, Elon, let the cabinet speak just for a second. Anybody unhappy with Elon? If you are, well, throw him out of here.
So that was the answer to a question, which was, if anyone had a problem with Elon Musk, what would happen to them? And Trump said with a sort of a smile that he would throw them out. It was a free-flowing event, 90 minutes long, as you say. The intention was accessibility, that the media were in there. Donald Trump took the questions, or at least it was the illusion of accessibility, because in this White House, they are now seeking to control who can report, who can be in there, who can be in the room. And they are selecting journalists, and that's pretty worrying, I think.
Yeah, the contribution that was a kind of sorry what pardon moment for me was when Elon Musk, he has said they'll make mistakes, but at this event with the world watching, he said with a laugh, one of the things we accidentally cancelled, he said, very briefly, was Ebola prevention. I think we all want Ebola prevention, he said, so we restored the Ebola prevention immediately. I mean, thank goodness for that, I suppose.
Yeah, and look, that wasn't the only mistake they made. You'll remember they fired a whole load of people who were involved in America's nuclear deterrent, and then had to very quickly, within 24 hours after appeals were made by people who know just how important that is, they had to reinstate those people. And I can tell you conversations I've just been having at the British Embassy, because the great and the good of the US, and including people in the government, were invited there. And some of the conversations were with federal officials who are genuinely worried about their jobs, senior officials who worry about whether they could lose their jobs, who worry about their teams, who in some cases are in critical jobs, jobs of national security, whether their jobs could go as well. And it could happen by a mistake. I mean, Musk admitted as much, but it's one thing firing people involved in Ebola prevention thousands of miles away. It's another thing firing people who are in critical infrastructure back home.
And Donald Trump at this event, Mark, he spoke about, well, a range of things. The EU came up.
Yeah, only two people spoke, really. It was Trump and Musk. And I was interested in how Donald Trump framed things. It was really striking. On the EU, he said the European Union was formed in order to screw the United States. That is the purpose of it, he said. Of course, we know that the European Union was actually formed out of the dust and chaos of World War II to create a union of states together. On NATO, he had a bizarre comment. He said, NATO, you can forget about that. I think that's probably been the reason the whole thing started, referencing Ukraine. The optics of it all were all about control, about showing a leader and his subordinates. But of course, this is in a country that is supposed to be built on three equal branches of power behind a rule of law.
Yeah, it was the political theater of it all that got me. This latest episode of The End of the World as we know it, and Donald Trump very much in charge, riffing about changes that are happening on a kind of daily basis, world conflict, and of course, as you say, the world's richest man at the end of the table, sacking a friend or neighbor near you. And also, there was this business of China and Taiwan. He was asked, would you allow China to take Taiwan, control of Taiwan by force? Trump declined to give an answer to that. And, because it's Trump, it almost passed in the blink of an eye.
Yeah,
But you can
it's
bet
so
the
true.
Chinese turned up the TV because that for them is a game changer. For all of us, it's a game changer.
100%. I mean, it was such an easy question to answer. I mean, even if he doesn't quite know how he can prevent
Yeah.
China from taking Taiwan, the
Yeah.
answer for most American administrations would be yes. Exactly. It was striking. I thought, and then for me, James, the sort of the central question and answer was when he was asked about his authority. Listen to this.
Is it your view of your authority that you have the power to call up any one of or all of the people seated at this table and issue orders that they're bound to follow?
Oh, yeah, they'll follow the orders, yes, they will.
No exceptions.
No exception. Well, let's see, let me think. Oh, yeah. She'll have an exception. Of course, no exceptions.
Yeah. One thing Trump said in this cabinet meeting was about Putin. He said he would make concessions as part of a peace deal. He didn't say what these concessions would be, but that was interesting ahead of the visit on Friday of Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, to the White House, of course, with this rare earth minerals deal on the table.
Now, James, if we thought that meeting, the cabinet meeting, was out of the ordinary, then did you see the AI video that Trump reposted on Truth Social earlier? I woke up to it. It was the first thing I saw when I woke up.
Well, that's a video to make a man fall out of his bed. But I regret to say, yeah, I've seen it. For those who haven't, are we going to describe it?
Well, yes. I mean, it's completely fake. Obviously, it is an AI-generated video, albeit a pretty impressive one. It shows Gaza transformed into what can only be described as a luxury seaside Riviera, just the type that Donald Trump has mused about on so many occasions. It comes a couple of weeks after Trump said that the 2 million Palestinians should be relocated from the Gaza Strip and that he would take over the area, he would own it, and he would turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East. I guess, I mean, I don't know, James, where to start with it. It's
It would be funny if it wasn't so serious.
right, exactly.
You free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels. No
I mean, there
more
were
fear.
bits in it that did actually look really quite funny. Female belly dancers with beards. Elon Musk eating hummus. And perhaps most, what some people might find funny, others will find deeply, deeply distasteful. Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu sitting on sun loungers in front of a hotel that says Trump Gaza on it.
Yeah, for me, that was the giveaway that this had not originated from inside the White House. You've got trans belly dancers. You've got a 78-year-old president looking on his sun lounger every day of his 78 years. Quite the spectacle.
It is, and I guess, you know, for many, it is going to be deeply disturbing and a hint of what maybe will come. But, you know, maybe the most important people, James, to ask are those people in Gaza. What do they think? And
Yeah.
so I sent a WhatsApp message to someone who I've been in contact with for many, many years now from my days living in the Middle East. He's called Odo Bashir, and here's his take.
I think it was disturbing to watch. It feels like they are going to take Gaza from us. We are not reaching any solution that satisfies everyone. So they will keep Gaza destroyed until they force everyone, me and everyone I know, to leave. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what's happening tomorrow. And this is terrifying.
The White House have issued a statement to NBC on this video. They said, as President Trump has said, Gaza in its current state is uninhabitable for any human being. President Trump is a visionary. His plan is to have the United States involved in Gaza's rebuilding. That will allow for Palestinians to resettle in new, beautiful communities, whilst improving conditions in the region for generations to come. The White House's take.
Now then, James, before we wrap up, the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, as we've been saying, is on US soil. He will be staying tonight at Blair House, opposite the White House, the presidential guest house. How do you think he'll be feeling?
I think he has to be approaching it with trepidation. This is a turning point in history. I think Starmer will go into this meeting needing to preserve dignity for
Mhm.
himself, for his country, and for the cause of Ukrainian security, Europe, and wider world peace. Downing Street are trailing this as the Prime Minister going in to confront the President. I think that's strong language. I think it needs to be measured to bring Donald Trump on side. But I do think Donald Trump needs to be pinned down. Europe needs direction. Starmer, he wants definitives from Donald Trump and to leave Washington confident that Trump is on board with his priorities and the priorities as Europe would see it. You know, he comes here talking about the special relationship, of course, whatever that means to the Americans now, but he'll be in an Oval Office with the bust of Winston Churchill. And I think he can say to Trump, you know, this is a Churchillian moment. This is about we will fight them on the beaches, about peace through strength, not through surrender. It's not about tie me to a tree and call me Brenda.
It will not be confrontational. I don't think at all. I think if there is any confrontation, it will be done privately. I don't think Keir Starmer is the type of character or to get away with doing what we saw Macron doing at the beginning of the week with the hand on the arm. Sorry, Mr. President, that's not quite right. We're not going to get that. I think what we are going to get is precisely what you said, but he will also drive home to the president that we take your point. We agree we're not spending nearly enough on defense. We agree we need to be able to look after our own backyard and shouldn't always be relying on the Americans. But he will also remind the president that that takes time and that America cannot pull the rug overnight. You know, I think there are many politicians here in America, whether they be Republican or Democrat, who want Starmer to have a good meeting with the president. And I think actually they're offering advice as well. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Downing Street has been reaching out, to use that American phrase, to as many friendly senators, senior politicians as they can to get a sense of what they think Keir Starmer should do in this meeting tomorrow. And I spoke to one very senior senator this evening who is close to Trump, who said that he's been sending Trump some of the positive words that Keir Starmer has been saying about the president. The fact that Keir Starmer thinks that Donald Trump has changed the conversation on Ukraine. That's the sort of thing that Trump likes to hear, and that senators have been sending him that sort of stuff, and that he likes that. I mean, it just shows he likes to be flattered, doesn't he? And that, I think, is what Keir Starmer needs to do. Flattery, but combined with a very serious reminder, do not abandon us. Not yet. We need a backstop. We need an American backstop. And as you said, James, maybe invoke a bit of Churchill.
I think whatever we get, Mark, we're not going to get the Macron bromance. Keir Starmer, he's more the awkward boyfriend, isn't he? You know, got any brothers or sisters? Thanks, Mark. We'll see how it pans out. over the course of today. We'll have the lowdown, of course, on tomorrow's episode, day 40 of Trump 100. It's a big one.
But that's it for now. Thanks for listening to episode 39. Do please keep sending us all of your questions to trump100@sky.uk, and we will, as always, do our very best to answer as many of them as we can.
And if you don't already, please do follow Trump 100 wherever you're listening. Ready for tomorrow, Mark?
Ready as ever, and hopefully we're going to have Beth Rigby joining us as well, so that'll be fun. She's here in Washington. We'll get her in.
What a treat. Best behaviour now.
See you later.
Cheers.